Welcome to my channel, where we dive deep into the rich history and hidden gems of the numismatic world. Today, we're about to take a journey into a time when America was in the midst of change, innovation, and a little bit of coin magic. You're about to discover the fascinating story behind a small, easily overlooked coin that might just be sitting in your pocket change, the 1967 United States 1 dime. But don't let its size fool you. Because behind that tiny piece of metal lies a history that spans wars, presidents, and economic shifts, and, believe it or not, a value that can reach as high as $134. Let's rewind the clock to 1967. It was a year of social and political upheaval. The Vietnam War was raging on, sparking widespread protests across the country. The Summer of Love exploded in San Francisco, redefining youth culture and music. Lyndon B. Johnson was president, pushing forward with his Great Society programs, while Americans were watching the Apollo missions inch closer and closer to that historic moon landing. Amid all this, down in the facilities of the U.S. Mint, millions of coins were being struck to keep up with the demands of a booming economy. Among them, the humble 1967 dime. The 1967 dime features the profile of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. His portrait had adorned the dime since 1946, the year after his death. FDR was deeply connected to the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio, a disease he himself battled. In fact, it was his leadership and visibility during his struggle with polio that brought national attention to the cause. That's why, when the Mint chose to honor him, they did so with the 10-cent coin, an everyday denomination that would carry his legacy into the hands of millions of Americans every day. Now, here's something curious about the 1967 dime, and it's a detail many casual collectors miss. If you look for a mint mark, you won't find one. That's because in 1967, as part of the Mint's efforts to discourage coin hoarding, they temporarily removed mint marks from all U.S. coins. That means every single 1967 dime looks the same, whether it was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The government believed that mint marks were encouraging people to squirrel away coins in hopes they'd become rare or valuable. So, in 1965, 1966, and 1967, mint marks disappeared. It was an unprecedented move in modern coinage, but here's where things get interesting. While over 2.2 billion dimes were minted in 1967, not all dimes are created equal. Among that massive mintage, there are subtle variations and anomalies, and that's where collectors start to get excited. Some 1967 dimes were struck with remarkably strong details, known as full torch or full bands. This refers to the horizontal lines at the base of the torch on the reverse of the coin. On many worn or weakly struck dimes, those lines are faint or even non-existent. But when a coin is struck with precision, those torch lines are sharp and complete. A 1967 dime with full bands is much scarcer than a regular strike, and dramatically more valuable, but here's what really elevates certain 1967 dimes to the top of the value charts: the presence of errors or die varieties. Die cracks, off-center strikes, double dies, these are the holy grail for error coin collectors. While not overly common in the 1967 dime series, they do exist, and when they appear in high grades, they can push values well beyond expectations. And this brings us to the question everyone's been waiting for: how can a 1967 dime, worth just 10 cents, be valued today at $134? The answer lies in a perfect storm of factors. A flawless 1967 dime, preserved in near-perfect mint state 67 or 68 condition, with full torch details, and verified by a trusted grading service, becomes a showpiece. Add in an SMS cameo or deep cameo finish, and now you're entering the upper tier of collector interest. Even without errors, such a coin has sold at auction for $130 or more, all because of rarity, condition, and presentation. And yes, some verified sales of top-graded 1967 dimes have crossed the $134 mark. For a coin that the average person overlooks, that's an extraordinary value increase, over 1,300 times its face value. It's a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, knowledge is power. What looks like pocket change to one person might be a prize to someone else. So next time you're sifting through your loose change, or you find an old coin jar tucked away in the back of a drawer, take a moment. Look closely. That worn dime from the 1960s might be more than you think. Look for sharp torch lines, signs of minimal wear, or better yet, uncirculated condition. And if you're lucky enough to find a 1967 dime from a special mint set with a frosted cameo finish, you might be holding a miniature treasure worth far more than its face value. Coins tell stories. They're more than just currency, they're artifacts of history, little metal time capsules that capture the economic and artistic spirit of their era. The 1967 dime, struck in a time of national change, reminds us of that. A product of a shifting economy, a tribute to a beloved president, and a symbol of innovation in minting, it holds a special place in the numismatic world, and in the end, that's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. It's not just about the money, although yes, $134 for a dime is a great return. It's about discovering stories, understanding history, and finding value where others see nothing. In the world of numismatics, some coins don't have to be ancient or made of precious metals to be valuable. Sometimes, a small, ordinary-looking coin, something that might slip past your fingers without a second thought, can hold a surprising secret. And in the case of the 2001 Roosevelt dime with a Philadelphia mint mark, that secret can be worth far more than 10 cents. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a small but mighty coin, one that could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change, purse, or coin jar right now. Let's start with a journey back in time, not too far, just to the year 2001. The world was shifting rapidly. The internet was beginning to truly connect people in new ways. Cell phones were getting smaller. And the United States Mint was producing billions of coins to keep up with economic demand. In the hustle and bustle of commerce, one small coin, a Roosevelt dime minted in Philadelphia, quietly entered circulation like countless others before it. But to truly understand why this particular dime from 2001 holds any value today, we first need to understand its legacy, where it comes from, and why it was made in the first place. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, just 1 year after the death of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was more than just a commemorative decision. Fast forward to 2001. The Roosevelt dime was still going strong. Over 50 years had passed, but its design had barely changed. That year, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1.3 billion Roosevelt dimes, a staggering number that might suggest that any one coin from that batch would be entirely unremarkable. And most of them were. But among them, some stand out for collectors, and for good reason. What makes a 2001 dime valuable today isn't necessarily its rarity in mintage. It's in the finer details. Let's take a closer look. If you have one in your hand right now, you might see the small P mint mark on the obverse side, just above the date. That P stands for the Philadelphia Mint. Until 1980, Philadelphia minted dimes didn't carry any mint mark at all, but that changed that year, and ever since, the P has become a standard feature. But what separates a dime like this from the billions of others isn't just where it was made. It's how it was made. And how well it was preserved. Most of the 2001 dimes went straight into circulation, meaning they were tossed into cash registers, handled countless times, and subjected to the everyday wear and tear that coins endure. But a small number were struck with extra precision, often as part of special collector sets, or simply emerged with strong, clean strikes and beautiful luster. They retain their full design details, luster, and eye appeal. Finding a 2001 dime in such pristine condition is rare. And that's exactly where the value begins to climb. But let's not jump too far ahead just yet. There are other factors at play here. For example, die varieties. These occur when something slightly unusual happens during the coin minting process, like a die crack, a doubling in the image, or a misalignment. While these errors are unintentional, they create variations that collectors go wild for. Some 2001 dimes have shown evidence of strong die strikes, faint doubling, or even off-center minting, which all add to their uniqueness and market value. Now, picture this. You're going through your coin jar, maybe counting up change to roll for a trip to the store, or maybe just curious. And there it is, a shiny, 2001 Roosevelt dime. You see the P mint mark. You turn it under a light, and the luster gleams back at you. The design is crisp. The lettering clear. You're looking at a coin that could very well be worth far more than its face value. A 2001 Roosevelt dime graded MS68 by PCGS, with a strong strike and full bands, a detail referring to the horizontal lines on the torch on the reverse side, can be considered an elite specimen. Full bands means the lines are completely visible and separated, a detail that reflects a particularly strong die strike in near-perfect condition. These coins are few and far between, and collectors will pay top dollar to add one to their collections, and that brings us to the big reveal. You might think, it's just a dime. How much could it really be worth? Well, here's the twist. In auctions and private collector markets, a pristine 2001 P. Roosevelt dime has sold for as much as $139. That's right. A single 10-cent coin, worth over $100. And the reason comes down to condition, rarity in high grades, and collector demand. It's a reminder that the smallest things can hold hidden value. In a world where we often overlook the everyday objects around us, this little coin proves that sometimes, treasures are hiding in plain sight. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, it's worth taking a second look at your change. You never know what stories, or surprises, you might find. So the next time you find a dime with the year 2001 and a little P on the obverse, don't just drop it into a vending machine. Hold it up to the light. Examine the details. Consider the possibility that this tiny piece of metal might just be something extraordinary, and who knows? You could be holding $139 in the palm of your hand. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a small but mighty coin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow collectors. There's more treasure to discover, and we're just getting started.